Why? Hello and welcome everybody. Also good morning. Previously I recorded a video on kind of starting the Atlas, but I wanted to expand that video now since we're further into the game. So the point of this video is to cover how to start your Atlas, how to progress your Atlas, why you're doing this, what the purpose is for, how to get to specific bosses, achieving your Atlas points, etc. So let's go ahead and get started. After you finish the campaign, you're going to be in the epilogue over here. You'll be started kind of like down here where Helena is, and you navigate your way over here to this man named Kirak. After taking Kirak's quest, he's going to give you a map. It doesn't matter which one you select. It's going to look kind of like this. Actually, that's right. There's no more selection. You just get a tier 1 map. When you get that tier 1 map, what you need to do is come over to this map device here, and then there's going to be these 4 corners or 4 starting locations. So for the sake of this, I'm going to take out my Voidstones here. Oops-a-daisy. Just so we have an easier understanding of what it looks like. And your Atlas will look a little bit closer to this minus the dark background. So you're going to have to start on these 4. Now, in the future, you're going to be able to right-click a lot of this stuff. Right now, the right-click feature doesn't work exactly too well. But an example is you need to match this tier 1 with a tier 1. So you're going to start at like Shrine, Volcano, Promenade, Castle Ruins, whatever it is it may be. Again, maybe in the future league it shuffles it around. You just simply click it here, and then you can now start. If you look at it and you hold Alt, right? Alt sometimes will, I guess actually, sorry, holding Alt on the map here. If you hold Alt, you can see the divination cards that can drop. This really is more for juicing in the future, but if you notice here when you just hover over it, it says bonus kill boss of magic or higher version of map. By killing it in at least magic, you will get an Atlas point that you can spend here. By hovering over your Atlas objectives, you can see where they come from. So you have 100 from maps itself, 10 from unique maps, 5 from Nightmare, 11 from invitations, and 12 from bosses. And we'll cover that in a minute. So after you've put in your map, the goal to complete a map is killing the boss. So just as a really quick example, let's just go ahead and give a tiny fast example of how you would do this. So on a white tier map, you make it magic. On a yellow tier map, you make it rare. So you can either use an alchemy orb or a binding orb. And on a red tier map, you need to make it corrupted. Just to confirm here, if you zoom out to the outer region, you can see bonus kill boss of a corrupted rare. So to do that, you simply make it rare, and then you can choose to use a vol orb, for example. But when you do this, it can reroll a lot of properties on the map. So pay attention to that. I'm just going to go ahead and go to my hideout real fast and just kill a boss. So let's just put in a map and go run to it so you can understand how this works. In the top right of the map itself, it's not based off how many monsters you kill, it's whether or not you've killed a boss. So in the top right, you can see it does not say complete yet. When you get to the actual map boss and you kill it, it will basically show a completed, making sure that you understand that you have killed the boss. Where is the boss? I think like the worst map to actually like showcase this in. Oh, here we go. Perfect. So over here in Castle Ruins, if you take a look here, you'll notice it now says map complete. That's because we killed the map boss. That would normally award you with your first point that you can spend on your Atlas. I'm not going to make this an Atlas video, but common things people like to do, myself included, is go after these shaping nodes over here, shaping the skies, shaping the mountains, and things like mounting modifier. Oh, this one maybe not so much. The shaping nodes help you basically get higher tier maps to allow yourself to go further into the Atlas. Now, let's talk about going further into the Atlas. So, after talking to Kirak, you're going to have a quest list pop up over here. And this quest list should basically start telling you to go deeper into the Atlas and start exploring. To do that, you simply would run a tier 1 map to drop a tier 2, to drop a tier 3, to then drop a tier 4, etc. Technically, you can actually drop a +2 map because unique monsters, so the bosses, can drop +2, but that's not really relevant to this, so we're not going to talk about it. If you happen to drop a unique map, which looks something like this on your way, you can actually right-click them to take it to that spot on the Atlas. As a prime example, we can go like this, and that will show us where we want to go. If you have not cleared the adjacent map, the right-click feature may or may not work, so that is something to pay attention to. And as your Atlas is going to be hidden, you may not be able to run those unique maps right away. But don't worry, you only need to clear a few of them to get all of your completion. You don't need to complete them all. However, some of the unique maps, notably Coward's Trial and Putrid Cloister, have very rare metamod crafts. Metamod is referring to the crafting bench, such as things like can have up to 3 crafted mods. But we're not going to go into that right now, so I'm going to go ahead and stash those. One of your first goals is actually acquiring your first Voidstone, which is the bottom left one, the Eldritch. I'm going to take the Eldritch Voidstone and slap it down here. By doing this, if you notice, if you look at the maps, they're all now turning into tier 16. The purpose of this is so that you can choose any of the maps in this quadrant and run it, instead of trying to, run a whole bunch of different maps. If you like a specific map in the region, you can now pick it and it will always be tier 16. Now, if you notice, to actually get to here, there is a line connecting, which means your goal should be going to the corners of the maps. Although you also have something like this, for example, the Polaric Void, and you have this, the Seething Chime. If you look in my inventory, you can see the Polaric Invitation and the Writhing Invitation. What these do is these are the mini bosses associated with this type before you get to the actual Incandescent Invitation and Screaming Invitation. Now, when you are progressing your Atlas, you will be unlocking Exarch, Eater of Worlds, and Maven. This will happen around yellow maps, so just to confirm, that would be literally the things that are yellow, so you can kind of see them here. Around this is when you're going to interact with a guy, I forgot his name, Egan? I don't remember his name. He talks a lot. Basically, you talk to him, and then you will start getting these options, and they will say, Searing Exarch wants you to witness a tier 7 map, and then you do the next one, and then tier 8 map, and this will go all the way up to tier 16, with the goal of you basically clearing out the quadrant and unlocking Palace into the Eldritch Voidstone. Now, before you do the Eldritch Voidstone, you are going to need to do the actual boss fight, so that would be Eater of Worlds and Exarch right here. By killing these two, you are going to be awarded the Eldritch Voidstone. The other thing the Eldritch Voidstone does, which is really nice, is if you take a look at it, when you're clearing maps, you're going to get altars. You have an extra chance of getting bonus stuff on the altars. Also, for people who struggle with gold, it makes it so all of the low tier map drops, so 1 in 15, are basically converted into gold, and if it goes 16, then it drops. That's good because gold is used for a number of functions in Path of Exile, but again, that's for a separate video. Now, you'll notice there is something else in this quadrant, and that is a Nightmare map. Nightmare maps are maps you can see right here in my inventory. So, since we cleared these, we're just going to go ahead and deposit those in. Nightmare maps are the old version of tier 17 maps, and they are required for Atlas completion if you want to get 5 extra points. To access the Nightmare maps, you are, of course, going to have to actually clear into the corners and then clear. I don't know if it's one or the other or both. It looks like it's one or the other. You can then simply take the Nightmare map, right-click it, but if right-click doesn't work, you can slap it here. Now, one thing to note about the Nightmare maps that are a little... Actually, it doesn't let me click it there for some reason. Whatever, it doesn't matter. Surely it works for you. One thing to note about Nightmare maps is they are very difficult. They cannot be rolled with standard ways of crafting, such as can you scour out them? No. You have to chaos spam them. And they inherit modifiers of tier 16.5 maps. 16.5 maps are another tier of mapping above 16 that have mods that are very, very rippy, and that is this here. All you need to know is that Nightmare map bosses are a big step up in difficulty, but there's a way to make it easy just for the sake of completion. There are these 2 scarabs here called Dextral and Sinistral. What these do is it basically makes it so if you use a Dextral and a Sinistral, you completely you just void off all of the modifiers, right? So an example is if I were to open a Nightmare map really fast, click it here, go into Ziggurat, you can see all of these nasty mods on it. All of these, of course, are also going to apply to the boss fight. And since the boss has crazy life already, increasing the monster life just makes this really miserable for builds that are, day 1 trying to progress or just lower on single target. So by utilizing a Sinistral and a Dextral and opening up the map, let's take a look at the map modifiers in the top right. You will now notice that there is a drop down, but there are no modifiers because there are no prefixes and there are no suffixes. So this is a great way to basically start getting your Atlas completion of those specifically. Very, very nice. Okay. Nightmare maps are basically done. I'm going to go ahead and put those away. Do note that there are nightmare maps in each region. So for example, we have Ziggurat here. We have Abomination here. We also have Citadel, Fortress, and Sanctuary. Each one of these maps is associated with different fragments that drop to fight Ubers. You can find those in this bottom tab here, but they're not actually necessarily part of the Atlas. It's something I'd say past that. Okay, let's go into the next one. Let's pick another quadrant. So, top left. Top left is the Originator Voidstone, probably the one that's a little bit more complicated for most people. The Originator Voidstone, when you place it in, just like the bottom left, will make all of them tier 16. Alongside, it will also do the same thing as the previous ones. You can now also start finding gear with memory strands. And bosses within the Atlas can drop exceptional support gems. Is that the same? Yeah, okay. Exceptional support gems are a new tier of support gem that drops. They're the old awakened versions. We won't go into that. Memory strand gear is not usually particularly useful unless it's on very high tier equipment. Usually you don't use this, but it's for crafting. We're not going to talk about that. Now, this also helps you acquire nightmare maps. All of the Voidstones do have a little bonus where if you read the last line, tier 16 maps dropped in areas have a chance to become a nightmare map. That is how you're actually going to get your nightmare maps, is by completing your Voidstones. For each one completed, the chance of getting a nightmare map raises. Now, if we go back to this Originator Voidstone, let's actually talk about how we do it. When you are progressing your Atlas, this guy right here is going to show up every so often. When you interact with Egan, what he's going to do is the map you are currently running, he will create a memory thread. There's 3 different threads. There is the Reverence, there is Trauma, and there is Loneliness. Each one of these is associated with a different boss. Coincidentally, you need to kill them, and then you get a fragment after killing them, and those fragments are the actual boss fights. Now, actually, I forgot about the fragments. I sold them, but you'll get them at the end of the actual chain. To run the chain, I think the first set are not going to be itemized. Itemized just means it's in my inventory here. What it's going to look like is, say you're running Ashenwood and you find Egan. It will do this. And now you can see that I have a memory chain. By communicating with Egan, you can select this option here, and it's going to start the beginning of the memory chain. Each time you complete a map, you will get a memory option at the end. So as a quick example, we're just going to send it and show you. I swear I picked another terrible map because the Ashenwood boss is very elusive and you cannot find him a lot of the time. Let's see. Where are you, Ashenwood boss? He's somewhere in... is it this region here? Yeah, right here. Okay. So the boss died, and you can see now you get options. These options are nice because they stack upon each other, meaning the next memory map you run in the chain will inherit the bonuses of the previous map. And if you notice that outline, these maps are considered 16.5, which means they're going to have enhanced loot, but it comes at the cost of difficulty. So that is one thing to note. A nice thing about these as well is you'll notice that if you are rolling them, they can hit more currency and they can hit more scarabs, and that is very big. So here's an example. If you look up at the top there, it has a more scarab multiplier 88% and a more currency multiplier at 45. These mods are not typically found on tier 1 through tier 16 maps, including Elder Guardians and other stuff, which we'll get to in a little bit. Okay. Now, after you go through and you complete your memory chain, the last one here is going to have a boss. By killing that boss, this is actually the mini boss, it will drop an item that you then put in the map device to go fight the actual boss. After you run 3 memory chains, the first time you do it, he will always give you 3 different ones. You will then acquire your Originator Voidstone, and then the future ones will drop as itemized versions as you are going through your maps. If you want to influence which type you would like, up here in the Atlas, all the way up here, this stuff is typically associated with Egan's area. So you can see over here, we have increased maps found for memory influence. We have memory strand stuff, and then you can actually influence the type of memory chain, whether you want it to be neglect, dread, or fear. In softcore trade or in general in trade leagues, typically you'll lean towards the one that sells for the most. If you're playing solo self-found and you're farming a specific boss drop, maybe you'll modify it for what you're looking for. Moving on a little bit further in this quadrant, what we have available, these are actually the 3 pieces I'm talking about. When you complete the memory chain, you will get the moment of loneliness, the trauma, and the reverence, and these are basically what you do to fight the boss. After doing this, you will get access to the Valdo's puzzle. I don't actually know what are these Valdo maps? I actually don't know what this is off the top of my head, so we're just going to skip that, not very important. And then over here, you can see another tier 17 map. All right, 2 quadrants done. Bear with me, let's continue. Now, let's go ahead and move over to the top right quadrant, as this one has a lot going on. So just like normal, we're going to kind of go through and we're going to clear. And when we get to our corner over here, we are going to have this open up. Now, this here is the Shaper and Elder Voidstone. Just like normal, you get increased chance at Nightmare. This one also has a chance for Shaper or Elder influence in your map, which basically means more monsters and a rare chance at influence drops. Everyone likes more monsters. Now, in this corner, we have a lot. So, this over here is Elder, and this is Shaper. To acquire this Voidstone, you must kill Shaper and you must kill Elder. However, to fight Shaper and to fight Elder, you need to run a series of maps. On the Shaper side, you need to run Phoenix, Minotaur, Chimera, and Hydra. Recently in this patch, they have now changed this and made it much easier. They are now just Shaper Guardian maps. When you highlight over these, you can see these 4 highlighting. You can simply right click, although that does not work right now, and maybe it will work in the future. Slap it on over here. Game? Why are you doing the game? One moment. Surely? Okay. You can slap this on to pick your associated one. Phoenix is oriented with fire. Minotaur is oriented with physical. Chimera is like chaos physical. And Hydra, I think, is cold physical. When you kill these 4, you will actually get fragments. So let's deposit those 4 maps and show the fragments. These are the 4 fragments you will get for killing these 4. After you get 4, you can right click them and it will allow you to fight Shaper. And now you can kill Shaper. Elder is quite similar. So over here on the right side is Elder. Elder requires you to kill these 4 down here. That would be, what is his name? Eradicator, who is oriented with lightning and a lot of quick hits. Enslaver, I think Fizz Fire? I don't actually remember these 3. I just face tank all of them. But there's Enslaver, then you have Purifier, and then you have Constrictor. By fighting all 4 of these, you will then get access to these 4 fragments. Each one drops from a different one, so that's why you want to run 4. Now, one thing I forgot to include, which is quite important, and you're probably not going to maybe do this right away, although it's ideal if you can handle it, and that would be your influences. So, do you remember at the beginning when we were talking about Eater and Exarch? There's also Maven. Now, Maven, if you look at the top here, there's a nice little pop-out. What you can do to get more bang out of your buck is witness them. So if you select this right here, and then you run one of these maps here, Maven will actually witness the fight, and she will buff the shit out of the bosses. She can do a lot of healing, in which case you want to bring Frost Bomb, she buffs them, she makes them kind of a pain in the ass. But when you do this, she will witness, and it will become white. And you see how it's white over there where it says like the Shaper's Realm? By witnessing it, you effectively get to run it again. After you complete a set, so for example, say we completed this set here, you can notice in the top right, those are the maps. So you have Purifier, Constrictor, Enslaver, and Eradicator. When you have a set, you can actually talk to Kirak. When you talk to Kirak, he will have a little option here, and you will get an itemized version of it. You can't actually take it out, but you can roll it with your Alchemy Orbs and your Scouring Orbs. That will then take you into this here, where you get to go fight the bosses all over again with enhanced drops. Very nice. That will move on to the next part, which we'll talk about shortly, but not right now. So, now you know how to fight Shaper, now you know how to fight Elder. You also understand the concept of witnessing, and you can see here everything you can witness. You can do Shaper, you can do the Twisted for Elder, you can do the Remembered, which is actually this light right here, right? You can do the Elder Slayers, which we'll get to in the next section. You can do the Forgotten, which is the rewritten, augmented, altered, and twisted. That's actually what we're going to talk about right now. Over here is another boss called Cortex. Cortex can be fought by killing the Augmented Distant Memory, the Twisted Distant Memory, the Altered, and the Rewritten. And those 4 would be right here. These 4 are associated with Synthesis maps. Synthesis on the Atlas you can find located right here in the top left, if you see. So if you're struggling to find those, you can take Vivid Memories to increase your chance of finding those, for example, in Solo Self-Found. These are notorious for just having random mods. That's literally how they work. They have random modifiers. Sometimes you get a lot of currency with them. The bosses can drop some accessories that are sometimes really nice. By doing this, again, you get access to Cortex. Cortex has some notable drops. I don't remember if they changed them, if it's like Bottled Faith. But Cortex was for a while used for the Feared, but that got kind of pushed out. Anyway, we're not talking about that. We're just talking about setting it up. So that sets you up with Cortex. Then over here, we have Citadel and we have Fortress, which are 2 other tier 17 modifiers. So let's go ahead and clean up our inventory. Those are done. These are done. Cortex is done. And we don't need to talk about these. Elder is completed. Now, when you fight Shaper and when you fight Elder, they will also drop a fragment. Now, these fragments go towards Uber Elder. Not regular Elder, but Uber Elder. Nothing we really need to talk about right now, but that's where these fragments are. Again, when you kill these guys here, so the Shaper set and the Elder set, you get the baby fragments to fight the bosses. And when you kill the bosses, you get bigger fragments to fight the Giga bosses. Let's put those away. Okay, now, when you witness encounters, so witnessing is with Maven over here, you will actually start finding Crescent Splinters. Crescent Splinters, when you put a full set together, allows you to fight Maven because it gives you a writ. That takes us to the bottom right section of our Atlas. So let's go ahead and take our Ceremonial Voidstone and place it in. This one drops from Maven. Maven is a particular notable boss because people hate it due to the memory game. Also, a lot of Righteous Flyer players don't like it because she has a beam that turns off all of your recovery. Anyway though, you can do any of these of your choice to actually run Maven. If you notice all the way at the bottom, it says Maven Progress 6 out of 10. That is because there is a separate one for just killing random map bosses. So that would be literally anything on the Atlas here that's not in the quadrants. What's notable is you have to actually do Maven just as you did Exarch and Eater. So that means she'll first say, witness tier 6 bosses, and you'll do a set, then you'll talk to Kirak, you'll get a little itemized version, and you run it. And then after you do that, maybe it'll say, kill, 7 map bosses of tier 10, and then it'll go all the way up to tier, I think, 14. And then once you're at the Maven progress out of 10, then you should be good to go, and then you'll be able to fight Maven. Without doing it one time at least, I think at the 10, it will not allow you to actually fight Maven, so that is what's important to note. Also, when you look at your maps, sorry, there's a lot going on. I'm trying to explain it the best I can, but you know how PoE works. When you look at your maps, you will notice that there are little slots here, and here. I don't remember what you need for both of them. I want to say clearing a tier 17 map unlocks one slot, and I think the Maven 10 way unlocks another, although I could be incorrect. What's notable as well, another reason why you want to get Atlas points, is because if you read, each bonus objective you complete grants you an Atlas point every 4, gives you 1% item quantity. Item quantity is a multiplier to your loot. Everybody loves it. Upon completing 50 and 100 bonus objectives come from your maps. You will unlock extra slots on your Atlas for different loadouts depending on the strategies you want to run. Now, let's go ahead and go back to the bottom right because we're almost done. So, going from the bottom right, for the Ceremonial Voidstone, you also will have another alternate boss called Awakener or Sirius. Awakener is kind of like when you fight Shaper and Elder, but you need to find different types of maps. These are I think they're called the Elder Slayers. You can find them over here on the Atlas, the Conquered Conquerors. This helps increase the chance of map drops. Furthermore, for people who are farming Maven to acquire these maps, you may actually want to go ahead and take Destructive Play, which overall just gets you a lot of maps. It summons more bosses, which makes it easier for you to find Synth maps, Shaper Guardian maps, Elder maps, Conqueror maps, etc. Now, going over to Awakener, when you kill these 4 bosses, this guy is associated with Fizz and Lightning, that's Baron. Veritania is Fizz and Cold. Alhezmin is Chaos and Fizz. And then you have this guy over here, who's Drox, who just punches you in the face with Fizz. After killing these 4 bosses, which you can also witness, by the way, you can find this here. That's the bottom right, the Elder Slayers. You will get these 4 fragments. By right-clicking the fragments, you can go fight Awakener at the Eye of the Storm. Why the right-click doesn't work, I could not tell you. I swear I have to relog each time. It's very odd. Okay, then you can fight Awakener here at the Eye of the Storm. One of the also pretty notable things about this region, more specifically on killing Maven, is it allows you to start using Reliquary Keys. Reliquary Keys are effectively a gamble box where you can come over here, open it, and then you have a random chance to find one of many different types of items that have been created by players. And by created, I mean they put it in the box, they don't actually make the item. And this is how you can open these. And then you get some little flavor text. Okay. I think that is pretty much about it. Are these Tanuahi? Oh, they are. That's cool. I think that is pretty much about it. I hope that this video helped you guys out. I hope I didn't miss anything. Again, we're not really talking about Atlas juicing per se in this. We're just trying to explain how you do the Atlas and get everything set up. Because I know it is a lot for new players. So hopefully this video kind of condensed it down for you guys. Anyway, that's pretty much about it. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please feel free to like, share, and subscribe. And don't forget, you can catch me streaming live every day at twitch.tv/Pohx. One other thing I would like to state, for players who want a little bit of organization, you can buy a map tab to hold all of your maps in them. They will hold maps from tier 1 to tier 16. They will hold your unique maps, all of them over here. They will also hold special maps, such as your basically the Elder maps, the Elder Slayer maps, the Shaper maps, and then some other unique stuff like the Nightmare maps and Vault Temple, which we won't really go into. So take care. Thanks for watching. I hope the video helped you guys out.